Pripyat, Ukrainian senior, April 25, 1986. The Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant. 4 reactors. Producing 4 gigawatts of electricity. Tonight, Deputy Chief Engineer Anatoly Dyatlov would oversee a routine safety test on the reactor and its turbine generators. The test was meant to prove that in the event of a power loss, the spinning turbines could still generate enough electricity to run the cooling pumps until backup generators kicked in, but the power had already dropped far below safe levels. The reactor was unstable, and Dyatlov, impatient and certain of his own authority, ordered the test to continue anyway. He overrode every safety system, one by one. Then at 1:23 in the morning of April 26th, reactor number 4 exploded. Not a nuclear detonation, but a steam explosion so powerful it blew the 1,000-ton lid off the reactor and scattered highly radioactive graphite across the roof of the building and across the grounds in the nearby town of Pripyat. Firefighters were the first to respond. They had no idea what they were dealing with. They felt a metallic taste on their tongues. Their skin began to burn and turn red. This was not fire. This was acute radiation syndrome. The firefighters had been exposed to doses of radiation, thousands of times beyond lethal limits. Within hours, they began to die. Vasily Ignatenko was 25 years old. His wife, Lyudmila, was not allowed to hold his hand as he died. In Moscow, the Soviet government was told that radiation levels at Chernobyl were off the scale. The reactor core was open to the sky. A plume of radioactive fallout was drifting over Scandinavia and Europe. The Kremlin dispatched Valery Legasov, the Soviet Union and its foremost nuclear physicist, and Boris Sharshabina, a hardline Soviet official, to assess the catastrophe. What they found was worse than anyone imagined. The core was still burning. Radiation levels were so high that anyone standing on the roof would receive a lethal dose in under 2 minutes, yet the debris on the roof had to be cleared if it was not. The burning graphite would contaminate the groundwater and reach the Dnieper River. The water supply for millions. The government ordered the complete evacuation of Pripyat. 49,000 people were told they would be gone for 3 days. They never returned, but the reactor was still burning and a far greater danger loomed. The smoldering core was sitting in a pool of water. If the molten fuel burned through the concrete floor into that water, it would trigger a thermal explosion, 2 to 4 megatons, vaporizing everything within a 30-kilometer radius and contaminating half of Europe. 3 volunteers waded into the radioactive water beneath the reactor and opened the drainage valves. The water drained. The thermal explosion was averted, but the radioactive debris still covered the roof. Robots sent to clear it failed. Within minutes, the radiation destroyed their electronics, so the Soviet Union turned to human beings. Soldiers were given 90 seconds each on the roof. 90 seconds. To throw as much radioactive debris off the roof as they could, before the radiation destroyed them. These men became known as the liquidators. Over 600,000 soldiers, firefighters, and workers would eventually be deployed to contain the disaster. In the months that followed, the Soviet Union built a massive concrete shelter around the reactor, and the world was told the accident was caused by operator error. But Legasov knew the truth. The RBMK reactor design itself was fatally flawed. Same flaw existed in every RBMK reactor across the Soviet Union. To admit this would mean admitting that the entire Soviet nuclear program was built on a lie. Anatoly Dyatlov was imprisoned. He died in 1995, still insisting the design was at fault, not his actions. Valery Legasov returned to Moscow a changed man. He had exposed the Soviet Union and its greatest shame. On April 27, 1988, the second anniversary of the disaster, he took his own life. Today, the exclusion zone is one of the largest wildlife reserves in Europe. A new steel arch, the largest movable structure ever built, now seals the destroyed reactor forever. The human cost remains incalculable. Thousands died. Hundreds of thousands were exposed. The land remains poisoned for 20,000 years. Chernobyl was not a natural disaster. It was a disaster born of secrecy, of arrogance, and of a system that valued the appearance of perfection over the truth. The lies that built Chernobyl are the same lies that destroy nations. The truth does not care about politics. The truth does not care about ideology. The truth is what remains, and what remains of Chernobyl is a warning, written in fire and silence, that will endure long after every one of us is gone.